The question of when the last days will begin has plagued mankind throughout the ages. The concept of the end of the world has inspired countless works of art, literature, and popular culture, inspiring both fear and fascination. People have always tried to decipher the cryptic messages and signs that mark the approach of this fateful event since the dawn of time. Some believe that the final days will bring a catastrophic end to humanity, a time of fire and destruction that will consume the earth and all of its inhabitants. Others see it as a time of spiritual renewal and rebirth that will usher in a new era of peace and prosperity. But however you view it, the real question remains of when it will happen. Well, better said, it might have already started. Today, we'll be looking at one of these signs of the end of times. The Euphrates River, one of the world's longest and most storied waterways, has a special place in biblical prophecy. The river is mentioned in the Book of Revelation as playing a critical role in the end times, signaling the approach of the final battle between good and evil and the establishment of God's kingdom on earth. The Euphrates River has been a source of life and prosperity for centuries, nurturing the civilizations that have risen and fallen along its banks. However, it's said that the river will be transformed from a source of life to a symbol of death and destruction in the end times. And according to prophecy, the river will dry up, leaving behind a parched and desolate wasteland, heralding the end of the world as we know it. For those who believe in the literal interpretation of biblical prophecy, the drying up of the Euphrates River signals the end of the world and the beginning of the final battle between good and evil. This event is regarded as the beginning of the end, a period of great tribulation and upheaval during which the forces of darkness will seek to extinguish the light of the gospel once and for all. Ever since Jesus said that only God knows the hour or day of the second coming, preachers and self-appointed doomsayers have been predicting when it will occur and watching the sun rise on yet another generation. Even those who criticize date setting frequently say that God's final judgment is coming soon, and probably even in our lifetime. So, get ready, I guess. In recent weeks, prophecy interpreters have cited a new reason for believing the end is near: the impending United States war against Iraq. Anxious debates have erupted on prophecy websites, in Bible study groups, in churches, and even at events. Many people believe that key passages in the apocalyptic book of Revelation show Iraq's significance in end-time scenarios. The Euphrates River, which runs through modern-day Iraq, is mentioned in chapter 16, the only mention of Armageddon in the Bible. We do know that the name is intimidating, but that's what you'd expect from ancient naming, right? And for those not familiar, the verse, written by John, says that the sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the east. And God's wrath emptied on the ancient land of Babylon, which is now Iraq. It continues to say that the king's armies will march through the Euphrates Valley on their way to Har Megiddo, Armageddon, in northern Israel. The Euphrates again reappears a second time, but this time with one of 7 angels whose trumpets warn of the impending final judgment. It's written that a voice commands the 6th angel of God, whose obedience unleashes agents of death who had been kept ready for this very hour, day, month, and year, and was released to kill 1/3 of mankind. Well, if you thought that's heavy, here comes the death blow. In chapter 9, verse 11, it seems like the tension only gets stronger here. John describes the leader of an army of locusts released to fight humans as Abaddon in Hebrew and Apollyon in Greek, both of which mean destroyer. Irvin Baxter, the founder of End Time magazine and pastor of Oak Park Church in Richmond, said that Iraq fits well to this in the context of Iraq's world-ending role if US-led forces invade the country. Baxter, a lifelong student of Old and New Testament prophecies, predicts massive casualties, not only among combatants in Iraq, but also among people in neighboring countries hit by retaliatory missiles of mass destruction and Americans who fall victim to terrorists wielding portable nuclear weapons. And he predicts other countries will also seize the opportunity to pursue their own interests, such as China attempting to retake Taiwan or India launching an all-out assault on Kashmir, resulting in World War III. According to Baxter, the end result could be a nuclear holocaust that kills 2 billion people. Does that ring a bell? Well, actually this would be 1/3 of the human population, which is mentioned in Revelation. Well, not everyone would be impressed by such talk. Craig Hill, a New Testament professor at Wesley Theological Seminary in Washington, D.C., and one of many biblical scholars who believe end-time interpreters distort scripture to fit their own agendas, stated that most people claim to read the Bible literally, but they take bits and pieces from books written centuries apart under different circumstances. One of the most popular end-of-the-world texts, Ezekiel, was written in the 6th century BC by a Judean priest exiled in Babylon who dreamed of the return of the Jews to Israel and the restoration of the temple. Then, Revelation was written about 600 years later, around AD 95, by an exiled Christian leader encouraging churches in Asia Minor to persevere in the face of Roman oppression. According to Hill, prophetic interpreters take verses from each and combine them to create reading that justifies their point of view. He explains that by attempting to create one overarching interpretation, they're preventing the complexity of the biblical witness from coming through. The irony here is that biblical literalists are forced to misread the Bible in the pursuit of accuracy. Hill believes that the fatalistic worldview of apocalyptic thinking is more problematic, and many people who are obsessed with the end of the world fail to enjoy their lives or help others in an effort to improve society. Millions of people were caught up in end-of-the-world fever long before 9/11. Terrorist attacks and the recent explosion of the space shuttle Columbia fueled even more speculation about how the world might end. The phenomenal success of Tim LaHaye and Jerry B. Jenkins' Left Behind series is one of the best indicators of that interest. Since their first book was published in 1995, LaHaye and Jenkins have sold over 38 million copies of 10 novels set during the Great Tribulation period. According to Mark Hitchcock, author of several books on prophecy and pastor of Faith Bible Church in Edmond, Oklahoma, interest in prophecy increases during times of great instability. Makes sense since people want to know what's going to happen, that the turmoil is coming to an end, and that someone is in control. Right now, everything is okay as it is, right? But if some fatal occurrence, such as a virus, were to appear, actually taking examples from real life, there seems to always have a reason behind it. Reasons like God is punishing us, among others. Hitchcock was a member of LaHaye's prophecy study group and generally supported the sequence of events on which the Left Behind story is based. If not familiar, it mostly revolves around the rapture, the Antichrist's rise to power, and the 7 years of hell on earth, Armageddon, and Jesus' return, all of which occur prior to Jesus' 1,000-year reign on earth. According to the current flow of things, we wouldn't be surprised if Jesus came back. Let's just hope it doesn't happen right after you get the $1 million business deal. Actually, let's just hope he doesn't come soon. But if he did, would you be ready?